we're all a group of, it's an umbrella group of people from around the world and organizations around the world who have a similar concern about the militarization of space. So we meet every year. We communicate through emails and stuff like that throughout the year, but every year we have one annual meeting where we all try and get together if we can, and it's usually at a place like this, which is a military base concerned with space weaponization or militarization. And so this year it's here in Oxford in England, and we're at Croughton. It's called RAF, but it's really an American base, as we just heard from some police, in fact, who are patrolling the perimeter. So inside it's America. This is America in here, and the Britain out here. So we are concerned particularly about the role of Croughton, about its enlargement. They're about to spend £200 billion or dollars or more on enlarging this place so it becomes more important, more useful for the US military global reach around the world. It helps to engage in wars, it helps to plan for wars. It's a great war planning and exercise, so it helps when a war is going on. All kinds of information is flowing through these systems to get it to manage the system. And before the war, there's all kinds of information gathering in order to plan for that.
No, and this actually makes me feel much less safe, and it makes me wonder, are we, when we build things like this, for me, this isn't like a show of, hey, this is safety or this is security. This is kind of, we are ready to take any area out at any time, because we have sites like this all over the world. So it doesn't really make me feel like we're building solidarity or building connections with other places, but it's divisive, especially when you listen to stories from residents here or from people who are doing the work here, and they speak on how we don't want this here, and we can't even get information about what's going on inside of this building or what's going on here. So no, it does not make me feel safe at all, and it's like a lot of propaganda that you hear and you learn about, and it's just that propaganda that's false. The landscape is very beautiful, but in regard to the American military base, it's very astonishing because you really don't learn about it, or you don't know that we have military bases right here in Oxford or in other places, and you do know somewhat of, hey, we have bases, but to actually see it and hear and learn about what's going on is very enlightening, because we don't learn about it technically. In my school and growing up, we learn about, we have bases and they're such a positive thing, and this is what they do for us. They keep us protected and keep us safe. But when you get here and you actually hear that they're basically just ways of getting information and possibly contributing to a future war or catastrophe, it's just very enlightening, and I'm kind of in awe, because it's wow, this is what's going on, and we are kind of blindsided, and we aren't aware of what's going on.
Air Forces in Europe.
So what's your role in here, the MOD?
You will be.
Our role is basically an external patrol.
Oh, external. You're not based in there yourself.
We're based within the actual base.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
But our actual jurisdiction is
to
control the exterior.
Still the same.
Why not the inside as well? If it's RAF?
You can do if you want to.
Yeah.
But what's the point when there's American forces actually patrolling armed within the base?
Well, it just seems a bit gratuitous.
They're doubling up
as well.
You're doubling up. There's no point.
Jobs.
Yeah, we're very near.
Jobs, I guess.
Yeah.
Can I ask you? I'm a American veteran of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars.
Excellent.
Do you feel like you're providing a service to your country here?
Yeah, because you sort of gave up the website, didn't you?
That's a
maybe,
a very good question. As far as I'm concerned, yes. Most of the operations within the base I know very little about. So
they don't tell you. No.
I've got a patrol, which is what I have to do, which is to do with protection of the base from the external side, and that's effectively as far as it goes.
Okay.
This is one of 14 American bases in England, none in Scotland, Wales or Northern Ireland, and it's a very crucial base. It has several roles. Yes, communications and a big system of collecting information and sending it out. But one of the roles is also intelligence-led warfare, which is drones. And drones are being used more and more, certainly by the military, and they are just terrible because, and you know, you can listen to people in Syria, Afghanistan, wherever they're used, and they are set off and they can silently just fly around. They don't even know, except there is this sort of buzz. And the people, the civilians, the village people who are affected, are affected by that every day, and they never know when this is going to drop, and they will be targeted.
I've noticed there's a CCTV camera mast over there, and there's one over there on that building, and there's one over there on that building, and they're all looking at us at the moment. You can't quite see it, but where that mast is, that's the communications centre. Edward Snowden worked there for a couple of weeks. Behind that, next to it, is the Intelligence and Operations Centre, where it is a site within a site. It's where all the real stuff happens. All what you see here, all these buildings, the big building over there, that's the administration building for the 422nd Air Base Group. That's all the everyday USAF activity of running bases, logistics. There's a store over there, there's a fire station, housing, and as Will pointed out yesterday, the baseball pitch. But the real stuff happens at the site within a site, which is where that mast is over there. As I say in the handout, people talk about radomes or golf balls. I don't call them golf balls, I call them puff balls, because they're a fungus. Yeah, that's the fruiting body coming out the ground. But today, because of fibre optics, all the real stuff happens under the ground, spreading great distances across the land. And because of the costs and the limitations of satellites, these days satellites pretty much are backup. For fixed sites like this, satellites are only really used to communicate with mobile devices, be that people on phones or tanks or whatever. For fixed site to fixed site, it's all about fibre optic now. And satellites really are only used when the fibre optics are not working for some reason, or they're over capacity. Yeah, just to let you know, if you do ever get in here, once you go through the checkpoint, you have to switch sides of the road, because it's America in there, it's not Britain.
As an American,
Right.
Well, as an American, believe it or not, this actually makes me think a lot about Black Lives Matter and the movement for Black Lives. So here's what I hear when I hear mobs, right? Paul Mobs?
Yes, Paul
Yeah.
Mobs.
All right, so when I hear mobs speak about Croughton, and I think about the fact that that he has a deep appreciation and respect for the law, and it's been a way for him to be a powerful activist, right? Him talking about being arrested but never charged. And thinking about the future of warfare, I think about the fact that generations that come after mobs, black, white, indigenous, whoever, won't have that experience, because the extrajudicial nature of warfare and policing will be mobilized worldwide. If these intelligence centers become what they are for people in the Republic of the Congo, what they are for people in all places in South Asia, as these communication centers that really just commit mass murder in pursuit of capital, then we know that, as you know, as an African American man, I know that mobs' experience with the law is very, very different than mine, and that the apparatuses that were created, say, for COINTELPRO or other mechanisms, really were designed to make it impossible for someone like me who pushes back against the system that oppresses people, to ever experience actual equality under the law. And so what this is a symbol of for me is a way to export American policies for racial injustice and the pursuit of genocide as the proliferation of capitalism. This is the symbol of how we're going to export that worldwide and how we're going to make tons and tons of money off of it as a country. And so I think that this is a real place where people wouldn't think our movements are very connected, but they are. And I'm interested to see the ability of people within the anti-war movement and people within the privacy movement for them to come to terms with the fact that people who are, either currently fighting racial injustice or have been fighting racial injustice way before the internet have experienced this ramped up surveillance outside of the law for years and years. And how are we going to come to terms with the fact that now that it's affecting those folks who probably aren't people of color, who are of a professional class, right? How are they going to be able to relate that back and see that those movements are connected and intertwined and that we're dependent upon each other to get free of this system?